Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and I'm here today to do another recommendation video, and this is 5 4K movies from Sony and Columbia Pictures that I think you need to have in your collection. So I'm very excited to do this video. I always get excited to do these. I love doing recommendation videos. They're like my favorite kind of videos to make. But before I get into it, guys, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber of the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? There's a little red button down there that says subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for more great physical media content. I do all kinds of stuff on this channel centered around the world of Blu-rays and 4Ks. I do reviews, I do recommendation videos like this, I do collection hauls, I do Blu-ray hunting videos, physical media reports every single Monday where I update you on all the latest happenings in the world of physical media. Just tons of physical media content. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video, guys, and comment down below if you have any recommendations from Sony from me. Definitely have more on the shelf over there that I could probably do a volume 2 with. So definitely look out for that in the future. But today I'm just going to pin it down to these 5 movies and releases, and they're all great, so I cannot wait to get into them. But before we get to talking about these 5, I do want to talk about some other releases from Sony that I'm not going to discuss today, because I know some people might have some questions on why I'm not bringing up these releases. First off, I'm not going to talk about anything from the Columbia Classic set. Both of those that came out, those are Sony releases. Both of those have 6 movies in them. I just wanted to narrow it down to 1 movie. And also, I don't want to recommend something that you have to purchase an entire box set to get to watch. So these are all individual releases by Sony. I'm also not going to talk about this Karate Kid set, even though it's freaking fantastic, because I haven't really dove into it. I watched the first one, like half of it. And it looks great. It looks fantastic because they added Dolby Vision to this particular release. So it looks fantastic, but I only watched half of it, so I don't feel comfortable really talking about that. But this is a stellar release with great artwork. And also Underworld. I'm not going to bring this up today because these are 5 movies in this set, and I've already talked about them all. I did like a 50-minute video reviewing the entire Underworld franchise, so you can go back and check that out. So not including any box sets. These are all going to be individual releases. Not saying I couldn't do that later on in the future if I do other recommendation videos. I just don't want to recommend anything that you, again, have to purchase an entire box set. And you can't even get that volume 1 unless you pay like $400 or $500 for it right now. Hopefully that changes and they put more in print soon. But as of right now, it's like super expensive, and only Doctor Strangelove can you buy individually from that set. So let's get into, talking about Sony. So they got into 4K in February of 2016, and the first 6 releases that they came out with were The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Salt with Angelina Jolie, The Smurfs 2, Pineapple Express, Chappie, and Hancock. So I'm not talking about any of those 6 today. I don't even own any of those 6 movies. And can I just say, 4K's come a long way with the selection of movies that they put out. It's interesting, the types of movies they put out. Then I have to imagine that was just all like the most, well, I can't even say those were all the most recent, because Pineapple Express and Hancock were both from like 2008, I think, and that's 2016. So I don't know what the mindset was behind some of those releases, but that was the first 6. So let's get into my recommendations, guys. I've been blabbing long enough. I know you want to see what I got for you here today. In addition to talking about these movies, I'm also going to let you know what the price point is for each one of them, and they are all available on Amazon.com right now. I will be leaving links down below in the description. They will be Amazon affiliate links, so if you do use them, you will be supporting the channel. So let's get into my first recommendation, and this is one that came out in early 2020, and I was so excited when this one was announced, because this is a classic adventure, swashbuckling action film from my childhood that I loved, and I was just super excited when they announced it. But this is The Mask of Zorro. And I bought this day one. The artwork on this slipcover is like so great. I love the artwork. It was one of my favorite releases of the entire year. And this looks fantastic. Sony did a great job of restoring this film. This is the first time I watched it, probably since the DVD era. But I remember watching this film so many times when I was a kid, on TV, on VHS. This is a film from 1996 starring Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Just a fantastic movie. Just that classic story about a hero that has to rise to the occasion and come back and seek his revenge on somebody that has wronged him in the past. And Anthony Hopkins is so good in this movie, just invoking those certain levels of emotion. I just think he's fantastic. Just what his character has to go through in this film is something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And just Antonio Banderas is just a badass in this movie too. And so is Catherine Zeta-Jones. She is so awesome in this movie. So yeah, like I said, it looks great on 4K. It's got some cool special features in it as well. It's got the Unmasking Zorro documentary, 2 deleted scenes, director's commentaries, never before seen deleted scenes, and it's worth it, guys, just for the slipcover. Look at this thing. It's so beautiful. But you take it out and you got that. That's cool artwork too. I have seen people, and I'll go ahead and call out his channel, but PlatX2, pick this up at the Big Lots on 4K for $3. So I have seen people pick this movie up at Big Lots for $3. I paid like $25 for this when it first came out. So I'm a little sore about that. But then again, y'all didn't get this awesome slipcover, did you? But anyway, I love The Mask of Zorro. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was so happy when Sony gave that one the 4K treatment. So let's get into another favorite of mine. I think this one came out in 2018, and when this was announced, like, I wasn't necessarily like that excited for it. I remember watching it when I was a kid and just remember it being some kind of a schlocky B horror movie from the 80s. This is a John Carpenter film. It's a Stephen King, based on a Stephen King book, and this is Christine. So again, I didn't really think too much of it. I bought it because I think it was kind of cheap when it came out. I think it was like 18 or 19 bucks. It came out with a steel book as well, but I bought it, love the slipcover on this as well, and I watched this in 4K. First off, it looks fantastic. This is one of the hands down best 4K transfers that Sony has ever done. It looks so good in 4K. The car, the way like the reds on the car pop in this movie, from what I remember, it just looks great. But the movie itself, again, I did not remember it being that good. I didn't remember like liking it that much, but I thought this movie was fantastic, and it kind of jumped up to being like in my top 3 John Carpenter films. Like, I would put this up there. I'm not saying it's as good, but I would put it up there with Halloween and The Thing. I think it's in my top 3 with those 2 movies. So I love Christine. It's awesome because it's the first and only time that I think that Stephen King and John Carpenter collaborated on a horror movie. So that's just awesome in and of itself. So, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, guys. I have to recommend Christine. Again, the slipcover, the artwork on this is fantastic. You take it out, it's the same artwork, but tons of great special features on this one as well. You get deleted scenes, you get commentaries with director John Carpenter and Keith Gordon. You get Christine Fast and Furious. You get Christine Finish Line. So you get some documentaries and interviews in here as well. So yeah, fantastic release from Sony. And I forgot to, damn, I always mess this up. But I forgot to give you the price of Mask of Zorro, which these first 2 that I'm covering are definitely the most expensive. So if you don't find this in Big Lots for $3, you can get it on Amazon right now for $18.30. I doubt that you'll get the slipcover because this slipcover is like super out of print. I think it went out of print pretty early on. But $18.30 for the 4K if you can't find it in your local Big Lots. And I don't know if you can look up online and maybe buy it for $3 off the Big Lots website. I'm not entirely sure, but $18.30 for the Mask of Zorro. And for Christine, guys, this is the most expensive 4K right now. I don't know why this is most expensive. This is probably more expensive than what I bought it at when it first came out, but you can get Christine for $22.99 right now. Again, not a bad price for a 4K, but this is an older title. It's about 4 years old now. Totally worth it. It's a great release. I'm actually surprised like Scream Factory never did this one and released that with some kind of special collector's edition, because they have like every other John Carpenter film. This is the only one that I think Scream Factory does not have in their catalog, which is actually, you know, I'm just realizing that right now when I'm covering this. So this would definitely be a cool get for Scream Factory if they could ever snatch it away from Sony and release it with some kind of special collector's edition with even more special features. Maybe a special like collectible car would be super awesome as well. But Christine, I love it. Love the movie. I think it's fantastic. Love the lead character in this film, Arnie, played by Keith Gordon. I just think he's so menacing. And so I just love the turn that he has and just the way his character develops from just innocent boy to just evil so quickly. Just on a dime, he shifts, and it's fantastic. He's so good in his performance in this movie. So Christine's fantastic, guys. Let's get into my next one. We're going to go into more modern territory with talking about this one. And this is a Quentin Tarantino film. And up until last year when Inglourious Basterds came out, this was the only Quentin Tarantino film that had a 4K release. And I'm talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, another release with an awesome slipcover. I don't know if you can still get this slipcover or not, but it just, look at that. The artwork on it is so good. That image of them looks like super photoshopped. I have never loved that, but this artwork is like so awesome. It's like the original poster they came out with. I still got my sticker on it. You got 20 minutes of additional scenes, behind the scenes. This is a movie that I saw this in theaters, and when I came out, I was like, I liked the movie. It was very Tarantino. I liked it for, you know, the dialogue and stuff like that, but there was really no story to it. And I'm like, this might be one of the weakest Tarantino films that he's ever done. I think when I came out, I was thinking maybe it might be my least favorite Tarantino movie. I would put it behind like Death Proof, but I watched it again when I got it in 4K, and then I watched it again, and then I watched it again, and every single time I went to watch this movie, I just loved it even more. Every single time, I just love being in this world with these characters. It is very much kind of a comedy. Like, there's a lot of comedic elements in this movie that I really enjoy. And yeah, I just get so sucked into the performances of Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton. Like, they're just so good in this movie. They're so good together in this film. And yeah, I love the movie. Every single time I watch it, it just moves up on my Tarantino list. It might be like my number 4, number 3 on there. You just live in this world with him, and it's just so engrossing, and you just feel like you're there throughout the whole film. It just takes you there's a sequence where Brad Pitt is driving around 1960s Los Angeles, just going from one location to another, and it's like a 20-minute sequence, and he just goes to his trailer and he's like making macaroni and cheese, and that's just it's some of the best stuff that I've seen in cinema. I get drawn into this movie, into this world every single time I watch it. The soundtrack is like freaking stellar. I love a good 60s, 70s soundtrack, and this one absolutely delivers. So, and as far as the 4K transfer, it looks so great in 4K. It just looks awesome. Like, this was shot on film. Quentin Tarantino, a student of the game. He is that kind of filmmaker. You know, really one of the last like great filmmakers of a dying breed. I would say, you know, you slap Quentin Tarantino's name on a movie, like, people are going to go see it. Like, not a lot of directors nowadays, you know, carry that weight to their name as far as the directors and stuff. But fantastic movie. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So great. So I had to talk about this one, and it was released by Sony. And you can get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood right now, guys, for $13.50. That is an absolute steal for this 4K. Because like I said, it looks great, and the movie is so great. So I love it. Like I said, it's probably like in my top 3 Tarantino, with like Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction at this point. I just absolutely love it. Let's get into my next recommendation. This one I'm excited to talk about. This is another movie from my childhood that I've watched like so many times when I was a kid. I love this movie. And it's an action film, and of course I'm talking about, it's got Harrison Ford in it, Gary Oldman. I'm talking about Air Force One, guys, and I am sore because I didn't get this one with the slipcover. It's the only one in my collection that I didn't, and it's because I bought this one a little bit later. But yeah, this movie is so good. It holds up completely. I watched this a couple of years ago. Harrison Ford's awesome as the president in this movie. Gary Oldman is probably of that kind of like terrorist, like villain. Like that was a real trope like in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like the Russian terrorist villain was like in every like of these type of movies, like the action, like hostage situation type of films. And they were all pretty generic, pretty standard, but Gary Oldman really brought a certain gravitas to his performance in this. And his role as the villain is just so incredibly menacing. He is awesome as a villain in this movie. He's just like shooting people in the head, like point blank. He's just so good as the villain in this movie. And absolutely love Harrison Ford. It's just got a really great story. You got William H. Macy in this film as well. And yeah, I love this movie. This is directed by Wolfgang Peterson, who just done tons of great movies. He did Never Ending Story as well, which is, he's got a really wide-ranging filmography. But absolutely love Air Force One. I saw this movie when I was probably like, when did it come out? 97? I believe I saw this in theaters. But yeah, I watched this over and over again. I just absolutely love it. Just some of the sequences with Harrison Ford, like going around it's pretty much like Die Hard on a plane is how I would describe it, because he's in there like kind of going around the vents and stuff like that. And nobody knows he's there until he finally reveals himself. So it is really Die Hard on a plane. It does take a lot of those elements that Die Hard established. But I saw this movie before I saw Die Hard, so I'll always know this is like the definitive action, like hostage situation movie, and I just absolutely love it. It looks fantastic on 4K. They did such a great job restoring this film, this classic action film from the 90s. There's something about the 90s era of movie. Whenever they remaster those movies in 4K, they just look so stunning and so beautiful. 80s movies look great in 4K too, as is 70s do. But I don't know, there's just something about the 90s when they do it. That's why I'm so excited for The Green Mile. it just looks fantastic. Like Shawshank Redemption looked perfect with the transfer. But you can get Air Force One right now, guys, for $14.96. So not a bad price at all for this release. I think it looks fantastic, and it's definitely worth owning in your collection, especially if you have never seen this movie. It's so good. If you like Die Hard, you will love Air Force One, I promise you. It's Die Hard with Han Solo. Like, how could that be bad? There's no way it could. Let's get into my last recommendation, guys. We're going to talk about a movie that is very close to my heart. This is another recent film, and this is an animated film. And I know a lot of people say that animation doesn't really look a ton better in 4K, but for this particular movie, the animation style is so drastically different than any other animated movie I've ever seen before that I think that it does really pop and give it something a little bit extra in the 4K format. And I'm talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I saw this movie in the theaters with my family. We had a hell of a time. It's such an enjoyable experience. It's such a great story, such a great Spider-Man story, you know, involving Peter Parker, the new Spider-Man, Miles Morales. It's just such great music in this movie. It just sounds excellent. It looks fantastic in the 4K format. So I would absolutely recommend that you purchase this movie on 4K and just watch the movie if you haven't seen it. It's my personal favorite Spider-Man film, and it's also like probably my favorite animated film of all time. And you can get that right now, guys, for $13.55. So an absolute steal. So there you have it, guys. That is the 5 Sony 4Ks that I recommend you need to have in your collection. You can get all those, guys, for like $85 on Amazon. So for under $100, you can get all 5 of those 4Ks. So that's a great deal. So appreciate you guys watching. Please comment down below what Sony 4Ks do you recommend. Which of these 4Ks are you going to pick up based on my recommendation? Let me know that in the comment section below. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description. And we'll see you next time.